This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world, with your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing back a returning company that was on my show back in February 2018. We're talking about Agritek Holdings, Inc. They trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol AGTK. And with us is their new CEO, Neil Mundie. Neil, welcome to the show.
Everett, thank you so much for taking the time to have me on today and featuring our company, Agritek Holdings, AGTK. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you and everybody at Uptick for having me.
You know, you guys are a fully integrated, active investor operator for legal cannabis sector. You guys are starting to touch on a lot of things. But if you would, in your perspective, give us a about statement of who you guys are and what you guys do out there.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And first and foremost, I just want to outline the fact that we put out some news late in 2018 saying that I have come on as the interim CEO, replacing our former CEO, Michael Friedman. I have several years of financial brokerage experience, especially within the cannabis space, and just felt that this would be an excellent opportunity as a turnaround company within the cannabis space. So, at the end of the day, Agritek Holdings, despite our, present trading price of the common stock, has a solid foundation of several undervalued assets, which previous management was able to acquire with very little money raised. So I have to give kudos to them first and foremost. So presently, we just received actually our manufacturing and cultivation licenses in Puerto Rico, and we've actually already begun manufacturing edibles in our 15,000 square feet facility based in the heart of San Juan. So, former management was able to bring a very well-known Colorado brand licensing deal exclusively to Agritek to the table. We've just put news out on this last week, I believe. It's Rocky Mountain High Suckers, which we have already begun selling to most of the 60 dispensaries on the island of Puerto Rico. So the product is actually sold in over 400 dispensaries within Colorado as a leading brand. And we have at least 2 additional edible brands already in the pipe and approved and lab tested to sell in Puerto Rico. So, Everett, I expect this next quarter to be, a very, exciting quarter and meaningful quarter for revenue, for Agritek, I should say, from a revenue perspective. And, just to further add on, not only, focusing on the brands and selling brands in the dispensaries, without kind of getting into too much detail, as, deals are still being put in place as we speak. But we are also going to be having a retail presence as well, too. So those are the 2 kind of key spaces, I should say, that we're focusing on within the space, as I like to say. And to further add, not only on the branding and retail side of things, with the passage of the U.S. Farm Bill in late 2018 and the new bill allowing Colorado assets to be part of public markets, we are also moving on our land assets there as well. So, we've had hemp licenses for quite some time. We're just moving on these now, and, especially in Colorado, and we will be expanding a model of farming contracts of hemp production, extraction, and CBD raw materials for our brands. So we have a very strong foundation of assets and an existing advisory team. So these next 2 quarters will be about execution on everything that has been acquired over these last few years and make these operations profitable. So now, it's about focusing on, what we feel are going to be the key revenue generators and what the market wants to see. So that's, kind of where we stand right now as a company.
Neil, as you know, there's over 100 companies in the OT space that's in the same industry that you're in. What separates or distinguishes your company from theirs?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, it's a highly competitive space. I mean, it's only getting more competitive at the end of the day. I mean, you see so many companies, getting listed on a, daily and, weekly basis, right? So it's crazy out there. Yep. It's crazy. I mean, especially on the OTC now. I mean, I'm up here in Canada, and I see it all the time in our markets. But down south in the U.S. now, you can tell there's a strong retail audience, brewing up, and that's why you're going to see a lot more companies being traded on the U.S. markets. But to answer your question, Everett, Agritek Holdings was the first fully reporting company in the cannabis space. I would say about almost 10 years ago. So as there are pros and cons to being the first out and a pioneer, so to speak, within the space. So what I can tell you, though, is Agritek was one of the most successful companies in the sector at one point, mainly in the financial services arena. However, we have the ability as a company to be very fluid and flexible and move on acquisitions and new businesses swiftly to take advantage of opportunities within our marketplace. So, I believe Agritek separates itself from other companies because of our unique assets and business model. I mean, we have the licenses in 2 jurisdictions, Colorado, Puerto Rico. We have a GMP certified facility as our anchor operations in San Juan. And, we're presently producing one of the biggest edible brands out there within the space. And we can expand to additional jurisdictions in both the THC and CBD marketplaces. And to further add on top of that, we own our own farmland. We have long-standing partnerships for biomass and material and creating leading brands direct to consumer. So we're not reliant, on a single business model. I mean, we can, like I said, we're very fluid, we're very flexible. Obviously, we want to show the market, what essentially, the market likes to see kind of the flavor of the month. So, not only are we allowed to show the market, what they want to see at present time, but we also have that flexibility to look ahead and foresee where the business is going to trend down the line in the future, through these strategic partnerships and, contacts we have made in the business throughout the many years. Not only myself, but our advisory team has been within the space. So essentially, at the end of the day, if we feel we want to add, let's just say, for example, a technology aspect to the company, and we feel that, the technology side of the business is what, is going to start to trend upwards and what the market wants to see, well, that's a phone call away or an email away or just a conversation away, just through the sheer contacts we have within the space and the flexibility of our business model. I mean, we've had all these assets in the past, but, we've just focused on, what we're doing right now. But, if we really wanted to, we can expand into other areas when need be. But just at this time, we're just choosing to focus, on our San Juan flagship anchor asset and getting out these existing brands and focusing on, like I said, we got stuff brewing in the retail space and, also on the CBD side of the marketplace. So, we're very excited and we'll feel like we'll be an undeniable player within this space as, especially as this year goes on. The proof, as they say, will be in the pudding. So, I think the market will see, will be projecting quite high, and it's quite exciting.
So, Neil, Let me ask you this. Do you guys consider yourself a distributor or a manufacturer? And the reason why I asked you that, recently you put out a press release. You sold 2,000 vape pens, but in those vape pens, you sold them down in Florida, and you made them a white label. Could you answer those two questions?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we have the capabilities, through, our formulations and so forth to a white label for other companies through our manufacturing facilities. But at the end of the day, Everett, we have strategic partnerships, predominantly, like I said, in Puerto Rico, where we will be JVing essentially with companies and brands and, selling their products and manufacturing them within that facility to the Puerto Rican market. And the next aspect of our business model, like I said, is probably getting into the retail space and getting on that side of the business. So those are the two spaces that we are going to be focusing on. So yes, distributing, third-party products through our, JVs that we have formed via our Puerto Rican facility in San Juan.
Well, we're running out of time here, but I want to get to my final question is that what would you like my listeners to take away from this interview? With a market cap of $3.6 million, your stock at 0.3 of a cent.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll definitely touch on that in closing here. But I just want to say, first and foremost, our management and advisory team are some of the most, experienced professionals within this sector on both the financial services arena and cannabis space. So, we are a licensed company for production and manufacturing of hemp and cannabis through our partners. So we've passed that very high and expensive, barrier to entry, so to speak. So, we're presently producing product. We're starting revenue, which I believe could reach over 7 figures this year through proper execution expansion of both our licensed and in-house brands. So, my personal reach into the Canadian markets for funding and partnerships, I feel will also bring an international investment appeal to the company. So our present assets and our infrastructure in no way, I feel right now, reflect our trading range. And, this is why as a company and as a CEO, we have to make these hard decisions, such as last week, deciding to recapitalize the company just to compete within this space. Absolutely. As, we have, at the end of the day, it's to be taken seriously and have serious dialogue with funding partners and, operational partners. We felt that, we have to recapitalize this company in a way to make us, at the end of the day, respectable. And people, what they see is a trading price. So, for us to recapitalize and restructure, which is actually, my specialty, and which is why, previous management thought it was a good idea to bring me on, was because this is what I, somewhat, I like, quote unquote, specialize in. And that's why I said in the beginning in the interview, it would be a great turnaround story. So, we're doing the right things we feel that, is going to turn.
I want to thank you for coming on the show. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. You've been listening to Neil Mundie. He is the CEO of Agritek Holdings, Inc. They trade on the OTC markets. You can find them under the ticker symbol AGTK. Hopefully, you'll come back on the show in 40 or 50 days, Neil, and give us a new update on your company.
Everett, thank you for taking the time. Everybody, Uptick, thank you, and look forward to speaking to you guys down the road.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.